In a world chasing clicks and quick hacks, we're here for what actually lasts. This is the long game, where PR meets relationship marketing. Real talk, real leaders, and real results. We're cutting through the noise to show how credibility, connection, and consistency builds brands that endure. So whether you're an overwhelmed digital marketer, a business owner trying to stand out, or a thought leader ready to just level up, welcome to the long game. Because building something that lasts takes heart. So let's welcome your host, Jeremy Knopf and Jessica Suter. Let's go. Yay. Hello, and happy Tuesday. We are back here at it for the long game, where we talk about how your business can survive for the long game. And today we're going to talk about the hidden gold mine in your business. And we have a special guest with us here to talk about just that. But before we jump in and introduce our special guest, just a forewarning, Jeremy said he had a lot of caffeine today. So he's really excited today. So I'm excited for this interview with the one and only Anthony Simone. He is a LinkedIn expert and talks about how you can use LinkedIn to build one of my favorite words, relationships in business. So without further ado, welcome, Anthony. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's great to be here. Appreciate it.
Good to see you, brother.
You as well.
As I mentioned before we dove into today's show, I went and just, did a deep dive on you. I know Jeremy and you have a connection and a relationship already. And then I started checking out your content before we went to interview you. And I was like shaking my head, amening to some of the things that you were saying on there and how LinkedIn and your email can really, truly build relationships. But I want to know from you, why do you think that most entrepreneurs are sleeping and sitting on the hidden gold mine in their business right now in their network? And what do you mean by that? Because I heard you say that quite a bit.
Yeah, I think we're so distracted in today's world with every shiny object that you could even think of. And every time you pull up your news feed, there's 100 more. And I think it's just become very, very difficult for people to remember and to focus. And, it's like, then you throw people that have ADHD on top of that. It's like, it's just this wild world we live in. And I think we've forgotten about what drives the business and what a good business, sustainable business is comprised from. And that is relationships. And how do you build relationships? Well, you got to focus on the people and what's important to the people. And so when I say people are sleeping on the opportunity, whether it be LinkedIn or, just the opportunity to build relationships, that's what I mean, because they're so focused on everything else that's outside of building relationships to the point where they're trying to use AI and technology to build the relationship by itself. Mm-hmm. And to me, that's just very inauthentic. And I think people are starting to change their tune about that. There's the ones that are kind of picking it up, because we've gone so far the other way and it's just getting faster and worse, that I just don't think that if as a business owner, if you don't focus on that one word relationship, at some point you're going to be out of business. Somebody's going to take the lion's share. They're going to push you out. And I think that could be probably a good thing for some folks, depending on what market you're in. Amen. But for me, it's all about relationship, and to the point where, Jeremy and I've had this discussion a lot of times, but I'm really big on giving. So if I do a webinar, a podcast or something, I'm an open book, and I'll share a lot of stuff that, people will tend to hold back, and they'll say, why do you share some of that stuff? I mean, some of your best stuff. And it's like, because I'm here to serve, and the people that are right for me will rise to the top, mm-hmm. and they'll want to take and take that relationship even deeper. Because if I give them some of my best stuff and they're like, wow, what else does he have? Like, if he's going to just give that away, what else can he do for me? And obviously there's a ton of stuff that you can do in marketing. And I've been in this business for 18 plus years now. And even me saying that, I've said it so many times over the past, few months. And I'm like, even every time I say it, I'm like, wow, has it really been that long? Because that's a long time in this world we live in now in terms of marketing. But yeah, I think for a lack of a better way to put it, and I'm going on a long tangent, that's what I mean. People are sleeping on the opportunity that they have, because you can use these tools in the right places and it can just expand that relationship building. But people, I think, are just using them the wrong way.
There's an aspect of that I'd love you to unpack in a little bit more detail. You talked about AI, but that also kind of dovetails into the whole systems and processes. I see a lot of people trying to systematize the relationship side of things, right? Like I'll have AI reach out to them with some bullshit message every so often, or I'll have my CRM automatically send them a text message or an email once a month. And it's like, there's no real anything to that. So obviously everyone's busy. Everyone's got a million things on their plate. How do you personally balance that to where you're not spending all day on social media, going through your friends list, looking for everyone to comment on, everyone to DM, all that stuff, but also not neglecting it as well? Because there is a delicate balancing act there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, I believe in efficiency. Like efficiency is good. And I think you could use AI for efficiency. I use AI, but let me give you an example. I mean, I'll use like Claude or ChatGPT to help me write some copy, but I know what good copy is. I've written, you can look back on my Facebook profile and there's posts that I've written in the years past that are like really good copy, right before AI hit the market the way it is now. But now what I can do is I can train my AI for what is really great copy. But even then, the output, I'm not just taking it as is, I am making it better. And that takes the personal touch. So there's that for efficiency, right? And then the same with like team members using AI, training it the right way. So if you get the same question over and over and over, the same set of questions, instead of them having to think too hard about it, you could just go and use your database, right, to answer that question. It's just about efficiency. So instead of, like you said, Jeremy, using the AI to go out and build inauthentic relationships by having an AI call your people or talk to them or whatever it is, you're using systems where they make sense. And that is to create more efficiency, not to interfere with or try to take place of the relationship building in and of itself.
Yeah, I love that. I know, like you said, it's hard to believe 18 years plus that you've been in business, and there's been lots of tools out there from LinkedIn to, all the changes with Google and the social platforms and every new shiny object that's new that comes out each and every month. Now we're talking all about AI. But one thing that doesn't change, as you mentioned, is relationships, right? And one thing that always stands out to me when I interview potential clients, I'm like, where are you currently finding your best leads? And 99% of the time they say it's word of mouth referrals. Right? It's people that referred me. I just had a kickoff call with a new client earlier today, and they said, you were referred by this client that we work with that, we trust their opinion, and nothing's going to beat that. Now it's like from word of mouth to world of mouth, as I like to say, where people are looking and seeing who they can trust and who's going to stand out. And you mentioned something when we were talking backstage about authenticity. Like, what does that look like today where you can spot people that are going to stand out and be real in the relationships that they're trying to build?
Yeah, I think, so what you're referring to is this coin phrase or catchphrase, whatever you want to call it, the authenticity apocalypse. The more technology advances, the more people lean on it and the less they are about trying to put their efforts toward being authentic. It's like, if somebody's hurting, if somebody loses somebody in their life or somebody passes away, do you have your bot call them and say, hey, my condolences, I really feel for you? Or do you pick up the phone and call them and say, man, you know what? I heard what happened. I'm so sorry to hear that. Is there anything I could do for you? Like, I'm here for you, brother. That has a way different feeling to it than passing it off to something else. And I think, again, you can create an avatar with AI now, right? You got these less than tasteful channels out there that they're just completely AI, right? And they charge you to be a member to be able to see their content. And it's just a robot, right? It's just a robot generated image. And I feel like eventually people are going to dig a lot more deeper to see if you're real. So being authentic is those things, right? Caring about people, being willing to get on a Zoom and chat with people, picking up the phone, like being available. Because I hear it all the time. People are now trying to figure out, how do I get myself more and more out of this business? And they're willing to kind let those things step in. And I just feel like the more you're willing to be involved, I'm not saying like do all the day-to-day tasks. I'm talking about like when it's face-to-face interactions or those opportunities to keep that relationship going. If you don't do it, I promise you, your client's going to end up going somewhere else for somebody that will. Give you a perfect example. I've worked with a lot of CPAs, tax professionals. And if anybody out there is listening to this, a tax professional, you're probably nodding your head. Most of them are not very good about keeping up a relationship with their people, their clients. They'll reach out to them one time a year, and it's not usually a phone call. It's an email that talks about, hey, it's time to do taxes again, or hey, have you thought about tax strategy? But other than that, they don't do a really good job. So the ones that I work with, that taught them to actually go out and proactively get them on calls, call them once a quarter, find out how they're doing, how's their family, build that relationship outside of the thing that you offer and see what happens. And it changes everything.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. You were talking about AI and authenticity and all this stuff. That brings up an interesting aspect of LinkedIn that frankly has been irritating a lot of people. And that's all the AI slop that we see all over LinkedIn, right? You can look at the post, you can tell that it's clearly AI, not just in posts, but also in comments sometimes. So, what advice do you have for really carrying that authenticity and cutting through all the noise that is LinkedIn, or any platform for that matter these days?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think, you need to post content, right? But like do some videos, like just and they don't have to be high production videos. This thing right here, I think, and I've always said this because so many people, I used to talk about video marketing a lot, even had a course on it at one point. And I think people just overthink this thing so much. They think they have all these cameras and all these fancy logical things to do a video, when you can just pull up your phone and start talking as you're walking or whatever. And I think the low production videos, I think they resonate more with people, because as soon as you get into the high production things, people start having these assumptions, or they start thinking about like, oh, they're so fancy, or they, of course things work for them because they have all this, stuff going for them, instead of, hey, I'm just a real person too. Let me talk to you about, and this is another thing that I'd say about your question, Jeremy, is don't just share the stuff that is like going well, share the stuff that isn't going so well, right? Everybody's talking about how everything is puppy dogs and, rainbows all the time. And that's just not business. In fact, what I think is that the only guarantee in business is there's going to be challenges. Mm-hmm. And so I think the more you can share a mix of that, Jeremy, instead of going to ChatGPT and saying, hey, create this post about this or that, and then you see specific things in that post that came from ChatGPT, because it's appearing in everybody's post. Not everybody writes. Mm-hmm. Everybody's writing the same way right now. Yeah. Not everybody, but most people. And they're all writing it with ChatGPT because it's so easy to do that. But I'll tell you this too, just for anybody out there that does email marketing or even does the content marketing, is that at some point you're going to be penalized.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just like you were with SEO, right? Similar content. We went through all that. It's going to hit email. I promise you it's going to hit email, because we do a lot with email, and email is going to be a thing where if you want to hit the inbox, you're going to have to learn to write copy. You're going to learn to be unique, because if you
think that algorithmically they're going to start identifying ChatGPT in the emails and filter that out? I
don't know if they're going to identify ChatGPT, but I think they're going to identify content that's way too similar. Okay. And they're going to start pushing it over to either the spam box, the junk folder, or it won't be delivered at all.
Interesting.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're doing that already with like blog content and video content as well. So I think that's only a natural progression, just to see what stands out. And even to Joanna's point, I do appreciate real life recommendations, referrals, and take them more seriously too. Same thing goes with, like you were mentioning, those personal moments. Like for me, for example, I like sending audio messages in LinkedIn so that people can tell it's really me. It's not, some copy and paste something that's out there, or tie in something that's personal, from the way that we connected, and where I know them from. So it gets opened, but also it's memorable, right? Versus just sending something like a blanket email. Like you were talking about the tax professional that only reaches out, at the worst time where we're not really wanting to do taxes. That's the last time you want to hear from them. You want to hear from them in between time. Yeah. But You mentioned, you created the LinkedIn leveraging, process and how brands can do this and start thinking about this. So walk me through, you don't have to give the whole thing away, even though I know you are a giver, as you mentioned, but how should a brand approach this to get started with thinking this way and starting their process to focus more on the relationships than just output and different shiny objects?
Yeah, so you really need to think of LinkedIn as a credibility piece first. And that's because people view LinkedIn differently than they do Facebook and Instagram and some of these other social media platforms. It's because it's not really considered a social media platform. It's like it's a network of professionals who are engaging with each other for a specific reason. Like there's a common understanding that everybody's there to network, to solve problems. And so you got to approach it differently because of that. But I think at the heart of it all is like looking at it as a credibility piece. So if you're doing any other type of marketing, buying advertising, add LinkedIn into that mix, and it's going to give you a better ROI across your entire initiative. Because once you start plugging your LinkedIn profile and you start bringing people to it intentionally or even not intentionally, because people look you up by name and that your LinkedIn profile pops up on the first page because it will for your name, they're going to start seeing the professional that you are if you have it dialed in. So understanding what it is and why it's important and where it fits, but then dialing your profile in to speak the language you needed to speak to the ideal target audience you needed to speak to about the problems that you solve and what you can do for them. And what that ends up doing is just giving you a boost in your credibility so that when they start seeing you elsewhere in an email or whatever, they trust you more, right? You mentioned trust earlier, right? Now there's this other thing that people have been throwing around for a couple of years now called trust recession, right? And I agree, we're in a trust recession. We've got so many things going on in the world that are just chaotic. And now we've got people holding on to their pocketbooks because they're uncertain, like what's going to happen. You've got to build that trust. And one of the ways you build that trust is being credible and showing up on LinkedIn the right way. And so you can think about it like this, Jessica. LinkedIn is almost like its own ecosystem. Mm-hmm. You've got your profile page, which can serve as your website. And then you've got an entire database of people, you name it. I don't care who you target. They're probably over on LinkedIn, and there's probably a strategy in order to get the result you're trying to get. But it all starts with the people and your profile and being authentic, right? Beat that word, anything but like authenticity and coming across, like you said, sending a voice memo and, alternate that with like just text only, like that kind of stuff shows authenticity. It also shows that you're more likely to be real. And so, yeah, LinkedIn is all about that. It's about just going after your target audience without having to get through a gatekeeper and using it elsewhere too. And I think that's one of the biggest things that people miss is that LinkedIn isn't just a platform. It's actually something you could use outside of LinkedIn to increase your credibility as well.
100%.
Well, speaking of relationships, man, let's take this in kind of a slightly different direction. You and I have been through some, we'll say, less than optimal relationships throughout our entrepreneurial careers. What are you doing to kind of keep the right mindset as you're going into these when you do build some kind of a business relationship and it goes sideways? Because I know you have a particular story about that. How do you kind of shore up your mind so that you don't develop the mindset of, oh, well, fuck it, I'll just do everything myself? Because that's really easy to go down that path.
Yeah. So I think without the right frame of mind, everything else doesn't really matter. Right. Because, give two people, I like to use an example, give two people the same strategy. One has the right mindset, the other one doesn't. The one that has the right mindset will always outperform the other. And that's just because all the mindset matters. How you approach it matters. And for me, like I go through the ups and downs every day. Like I'm in a battle every day. Like that's what entrepreneurship is, right? You're in a battle. And I think I heard Cody Sanchez say the other day, she said something about her father said, if you don't find yourself from time to time, like with your head down, with holding your face, wondering what is your next move, you're not doing it right.
Yes.
And I've been there.
I thought it was just me.
It is. And I think people they look at entrepreneurship. They look at somebody that's reached a level of success, and they just think it just magically happened. Like they see the highlight reel, but they don't see all the pain and struggle that went on. Like you said, Jeremy, I've had multiple partnerships that fell apart. One of them that like brought me to my knees. And at the worst moment in my life that could have possibly happened, when my son nearly passed away, I had to actually give him CPR when he was a baby. And I had a business partner take advantage of me at that point and switch up our operating agreement and take half of the business. But I trusted him and I wasn't worried about it. But you know, it's taking those bad things and turning them into a lesson for good. Looking for the silver lining, because as much as that sucked, and I didn't know why I was going through it at the time, and I didn't know why the things that happened after that also happened that were in my personal life that hit me hard. But now when I look back, I can actually draw the line of the journey and why it happened. All the way from there to why I'm here in Austin, Texas right now, talking to you all. Like it all happened for a reason, and I'm learning every step of the way through all those challenges and all the, you know, kicks to the face, and it's going to happen. And so, Jeremy, it's like, how do you do that? You focus on not letting that bring you down. Use tools like read the right kind of books, consume the right kind of material, because we are inundated with negative news all the time. So I say, turn off the damn news. In fact, I did this one time. I put out a campaign and I challenged people to turn off the news for 30 days. Just don't even turn it on. See how you feel. I use this example.
I still do it.
It's like you take a clear glass of water and you take the food coloring, and every time you open up the news and you just put another drop of that food coloring in, pretty soon that clear mind becomes just completely unclear. Right? But if you detox from it, because there is no shortage of crazy negative stuff going on in the world. And if we don't focus on the positive, because there's only so much we can control. And if we don't control that, then everything's out of control, right? Your whole life is out of control. So read the right books, consume the right content. There's lots of it. You just got to look for it.
Amen to that. I always like to say garbage in, garbage out, right? But back to your point with sharing some of those stories, it helps you makes you more relatable. Like, for example, we just celebrated 16 years in business at Now Marketing Group. And so I wrote, you know, each year I do a new lesson, like for the year. So I did 16 years, 16 lessons, but turning some of those challenge points into the lesson that you got out of it. So it's not just like dumping, right? Like, oh, poor me, here's what happened. But here's the lesson that came out of it. Like you said, the silver lining, or what we can learn and how we can jump back into it and improve to do things differently, or look through a different lens of what this was teaching us, not what this did, you know, to impact us in a negative way. But then it makes you more relatable and approachable to others, like especially if you're sharing that content out on LinkedIn, it makes it more real, because nobody else has that same story or going to be able to tell it the same way that you do, right? Like it's not what we do that people buy, why they buy from us, it's how we do it, I believe. So it's really kind of crafting those stories. So I love that you're saying that and how you show up. How do you like do this? I've seen Mark's comment in here about team members too, like how to get them engaged. Because one thing for like the business owner, but how do you get the team engaged with the process too?
Like my team or
your team or your client's team? Is that part of it too? Kind of like head down approach to getting more people involved with LinkedIn on their personal pages, or just
so I think it's, you know, mindset's hard to sell, right? Okay, I'm going to change your mind. That doesn't sound too sexy.
No.
Right. Or I had a client one time, she wanted to name her product, what is it, like retrain your brain or so, I don't know. And it's like, yes, you can sell that if you push hard enough, but people don't want, and she wanted to target CEOs. I was like, man, that's going to be a hard sell. You got to have to come up with a different approach, right? Because nobody wants, it sounds like a lot of work. So, you know, I feel like, and I'll tell you this too, one of the best things you could have in any program is somebody that can help you with mindset. Maybe not the main thing like that you sell, but like have it there, performance enhancement, performance, you know, whatever you want to call it.
Level up. Yeah.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, like I've worked with top level CEOs, I've worked with all kinds of people. They all have their own mind trash, all of them. And they all need to break through those things. So for me, it's like teaching people that is a thing and helping them break through it. again, like I like to recommend books because then it's not like, hey, do it because I said. It's, hey, check out this book. This is what it helped me with. Like one of them that I love is The Obstacle Is Away by Ryan Holiday. One of my favorite books. I could read it over and over and over. And I shouldn't say I read it just to, I'm lying. I actually listen to it on audiobooks. I'm an audiobook guy.
Same difference.
Gives me a headache. Right. Yeah. So it's a great book because you can listen to it over and over and you get something new out of it. To me, that's what makes a really great book. So it's that kind of material and sharing with people, check it out. Because then indirectly, you're helping them teach themselves the importance of reframing their mindset.
I love that. Jumping back to the tactical side for a second here, when people are on social media, I feel like a lot of people don't know what to say, whether it's in a post or whether they're reaching out to somebody directly. So what advice do you have for really making that connection in an authentic and effective and engaging way so that they can actually get the results they're looking for out of it?
Yeah, I think so my posts, sometimes I'll say you and you, but oftentimes I find the best posts are when it talks about me. So like, here's what I do for this problem. Here's how it's changed me so that they can step into it on their own. Because sometimes when they're reading that, it's like, well, it feels kind of accusatory. Like, you need to do this, or you probably have this problem, versus like, let me tell you a story about what I went through or what one of my clients went through. Maybe your experiences, maybe you're not. Allow them to step into it on their own. It's kind of like if you look at my LinkedIn profile, it's written a specific way. It's not a braggadocious sort of format that I write it in. It's more of a, here's what I do, why I do it, why people trust me with it, versus like, here's why you should hire me, right? I'm so great. I'll let them step into those situations themselves, because that's where people, they're going to make their own decision anyway. So all I'm doing is trying to give them enough content, enough data, enough of a reason to consider like I might be that solution.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
So with that, I want to give you a chance to share where people can find out more about you. Is LinkedIn the best place? Or...
LinkedIn's a great place. They can email me at anthony@foundmoneypartnerships.com.
Okay.
And I mean, those are two of the best places to get me. I'm on LinkedIn a lot. Obviously, I think we live in this world where people are guilty of teaching one method but never using it themselves. I'm not that.
Yeah.
So
that never happens.
Yeah, people are shocked. They're like, I'll teach them how to do a webinar, and the webinar like use the same stuff that I do in my webinar. It's like, wait a second, you gave away a guide. I said, exactly. That's how you got here, right? It's like, isn't that amazing? Like, you actually can do what I do and get results.
We'll make sure to drop Anthony's link in the recap, as well as share that in the comments here. But if you'd like to sign up for the recap, definitely type "I'm interested" in the comments, and we'll make sure you get it. Or you can go to nowmarketinggroup.com/the long game. Anthony, before we wrap up here, I would love to hear maybe the most common mistake that you see people doing today, one that maybe hasn't been mentioned that stands out to you the most.
I see a lot of mistakes. If you're talking about LinkedIn specifically, I would say people are pitching too much. And people don't want to be pitched to. The reason why people aren't getting on a call with you is because they think they're going to get sold something.
Sold to.
And they don't want to. Like, you've heard it, right? And everybody that understands marketing knows people love to buy. They hate to be sold to, right? So if you can just go, and this is my biggest tip, write to them, message with them like you met them at the grocery store. What would you say? Would you come out of the box and go, hey, I did all these great things and you should give me some money? No. Right? Like, it's like, it's a relationship, right? You never say that. And if you did say that, you'd be that guy at networking events that everybody's telling everybody, like, secretly, don't go around that dude. Right?
He's got his business cards ready. I can picture
don't say hi to that guy.
Exactly.
And God love them. Like, some people, they just don't know what they don't know, but some people do know what they know, and they're just not making that change. And the whole, like, if I shoot out 1 million different messages, if I just get 0.5% of that billion people, that mindset, you got to get rid of it. because relationships aren't built on that kind of mindset. Reach out to people authentically. Don't pitch them. And when you get on a call with them, please just take the pressure off yourself and stop thinking you got to have that person for a client or referral partner, and just ask yourself, how can you serve them? You'll go into that call with way different energy. You won't have any expectations. That person won't feel awkward, and good things will happen more times than not through that conversation. Even if that person doesn't become a client of yours or a referral partner, oftentimes they may send you somebody that they just automatically think of.
I love that. Hey, Anthony, real quick before we wrap up here, take 15 seconds and talk about your private community where you teach this stuff.
Yeah, so we've got a private community that we brought out specifically for people that want to learn about LinkedIn and email and some other things. We over deliver in this group, but if you want to learn what we do on LinkedIn, what we do for our done for you clients, we spell it all out. We walk through it. We coach. We meet bi-weekly so we can help people through all their different challenges that they encounter. And it's just a great group of people that are helping to kind of create that tide to raise all ships. And we do that. It's very simple to join. It's on a monthly basis. There's no long-term contracts or anything like that. You come in, you leave whenever you want. But our goal is to get you exposed to what we do and what works versus going and buying some program out there from somebody that maybe doesn't know what they're doing. And then you end up in that whole, like, with your spouse going, hey, I want to buy this program to learn about XYZ. And they're like, I don't think that's a good idea. Right. Remember last time and the time before? Like, we're trying to avoid that for people. And so we deliver a lot in this community. But yeah, if you want to get more information on that, just reach out to me. Again, Anthony at foundmoneypartnerships.com. I'd be happy to get some more information into your hands about that.
Beautiful.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom here today. So many good knowledge bombs and things that work, and definitely something I definitely stand behind as well. The relationship marketing, I know Jeremy does too, but super excited to have you on the show. We'll definitely have to have you back. And thank all of you for watching with us live or catching the replay. Don't forget to check the recap out tomorrow and share it with somebody who could benefit. But until next week at Tuesday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Thanks again. Bye.